I'm here with actress Arden Cho, who stars as Kira on Teen Wolf. Season 5 will be debuting in June, and Kira is one of the newer characters, very popular. What's that like for you to burst onto the scene and be so popular right out of the gate?
I'm really thankful. I mean, I was just talking about this with some of the fans, how it's always really intimidating to come onto a show that's well loved and certain characters are loved so much, and then you worry that you're not going to fit in, or that, you know what I mean, they won't be open to that changes. But luckily, people were really, I think, open and responsive to Kira, and they liked Kira and Scott. And even though we didn't really jump into Kira and Scott so quickly, and I think that's probably what made it better.
Right.
Taking that slow introduction to really build and get to know her. And so, yeah, I'm really happy because I'm happy being on this show, and I'm sure if the fans didn't like me, it wouldn't have lasted very long.
So all that money you're sending out is doing wonders for your career, right? All the money you're sending to
Oh
the
yeah,
fans.
yeah, for sure. Here you go. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah. Oh yeah, write that you like Kira. I wish.
Now to take it back, when did you first decide you were going to do this as a career and that you would actually...
Oh, man. Okay. When I was in college, I was studying psychology, and I started taking theater kind of just to fill an elective. It wasn't really like a plan of, oh, I want to be an actor, but it was more of just to, try it. And I thought it'd be an easy credit, but it was actually really, really hard. I struggled a lot with opening up and being honest and vulnerable, and that was very scary for me. And honestly, I started falling in love with acting because it was therapeutic, and in a way for me, very challenging, and it kind of helped me grow as a person, and in a way it sort of gave me life, if that makes sense. And I fell in love with the whole process, everything of just what it takes to film and what it takes to create this piece of art. You know what I mean? You film for weeks and months for a movie and even a TV show, and all the hard work and all the pieces that come together for me was like so magical, and I wanted to be a part of that so bad. But when I was in college, I just sort of thought it was a dream. I didn't really think it was a reality or that it could ever be. And so after I graduated college, I actually ended up in Kenya for a couple months working with like some medical missionaries and some orphanages and doing like humanitarian work, and I loved it out there. But at the same time, one of the doctors I was working with was pretty much like, what do you love? Like, why are you here? And I was like, I'm here because I like helping people. And he's like, but what are you good at? What are you passionate about? And when, he really challenged me to figure out what it was that brought me joy. And if for me it was performing and art and making people laugh or telling stories, and he was like, well, then do that. Figure out how to do that. And I was like, but it's so hard. And he's like, nothing's easy. Nothing good is easy. And so for me, it was one of those things where I realized a lot of it was something like I had to overcome. I had to overcome that fear of failure, possible failure, and the difficulties and the challenges of something new and scary. And so I remember that was sort of the time. It was in August of 2007. I decided, you know what, I'm going to move out to LA, take a bunch more of these acting classes, because at the time I'd only studied some theater in college. I had done like one indie film and little things here and there, but I'd never really given it a shot. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to go. And like one of my mentors had said, find something you're passionate about, use that joy, and figure out a way to make it purposeful. And I was like, you know what, if I can figure out a way to be involved with like acting or film or movies or music or do something that's performance based, and I can bring joy to people or encourage or inspire people, like that would give me purpose in life, and that would give me life. And so I think that was when I sort of made that jump. But if we fast forward, it was probably the hardest like 5-6 years of my life, and I definitely quit about like 10-15 times. And right before I booked Teen Wolf, I actually chopped off all my hair like to my chin and told my agents I was taking a break from acting and I was gonna just focus on music, and then ended up booking Teen Wolf and got a head full of extensions. This is real now. This is all real, but season 3B, all of that Kira hair
is all fake.
Oh yeah. because I was just like, I need a break. It's too hard to book a role. I'm never gonna book anything. And I mean, acting's tough, you only have X amount of roles and hundreds and thousands of actors, everybody fighting for that same part, and so yeah, it's tough.
So if you didn't book Kira, you would have been taking a break right after that?
Yeah, and maybe never, or I mean, I'm sure I would have come back eventually.
Right.
You always do. It's like that bad relationship, you can't get away.
Absolutely.
But no, I think I would have come back, but I think it would have, been an interesting journey. But even before I took that break, for about 2 years, I was focusing a lot more on music, and I was doing a lot more improv, and I was doing other things. And I think doing other things helped me become a better actor, helped me become a little bit more carefree. Because when you walk into that audition room and you're like, I really want this part, I'm desperate for this part, I need this part. Like, people can smell that desperation. Like, I think, and I don't think it's ever a good thing. But when you walk in, you're like, hey, what's up? Like, I don't really care, whatever. And that's, to be honest, for Teen Wolf, I really went in not expecting to book it, not expecting that it was the one, because after so many auditions and so many years, you just start getting to the point where you're just like, you can't expect it because it's so hard.
Right.
It's so discouraging. And I had finally hit that part, or I hit that point where I was just kind of like, all right, I don't think I'm ever going to get the part. And luckily, I think that helped me just be more honest.
Right.
And be myself and be comfortable. Because you're never yourself if you're really nervous and excited and wanting it so bad. You're all clumsy and tongue-tied and all that funny stuff happens.
Right.
So.
And you spoke about your music. You do have an EP out on,
Yeah,
or
I
a CD out on iTunes.
Yes.
What was that like, recording your album?
So it was very, very, like sort of like that first experience, you know. It was, I'd never recorded music in a studio before. I had never shared my own songs. A lot of those songs actually were songs that I just wrote for myself that I never planned on sharing with anybody. And the reason I did it was because a year or two before that, I kind of started sharing this thing with my fans saying, follow your heart. Do the things that scare you. Do the things that you're afraid of, because failure makes you better, and like, you learn from your mistakes. And I realized that I was here telling everybody to like follow your fears and, you know, your dreams, and don't be afraid to fail. And I was so terrified to fail. Like, I loved music so much. I loved to sing, and if I could, I mean, that would be it. But I always also knew I wasn't like Whitney Houston. I wasn't a huge powerhouse. And so for me, I kind of felt like, you know what, you're not good enough, so don't do it. And that was sort of like the little voice that was always there. And at the same time too, I was terrified of singing in public, and I was so scared of it just because I was so insecure. But then I finally hit that point where I was like, you know what, I need to do this. I have to, so that I'm not a hypocrite. I have to, so that like I'm taking my own advice and jumping, because I'm so tired of being scared. I'm so tired of, you know, all these boundaries and walls that sort of keep me from being who I am. And so yeah, I remember it was crazy. I like sold my car, flew out one of my friends from the East Coast to help me produce it. We did it at my friend's house. Like, I mean, we worked a month and a half just like day in and day out on it, everything from writing to producing, recording all the instruments and everything. I mean, it was really tough doing it sort of, I guess, guerrilla style, you know what I mean? Not really with structure or like a nice studio and all this sort of stuff. It was crazy. And then everything from like putting the album together was really sort of just me and friends, and people helping me. And it was tough. It was really hard, and a lot of sleepless crying nights being like, I can't do this anymore, I want to quit, I don't want to do it, it's too hard. But it's like, no, we started, we must finish. And so, oh man, was it tough. But now when I listen to it, I'm like, you know what, looking back, well, sometimes I cringe a little because I'm like, oh, I want to re-record that, I want to do that better. But it's one of those things where, like, you know, we just didn't have the time and money to make it perfect. A lot of it was really just sort of, all right, that's it, we got it, we just got to move on, you know. And I wish that I hopefully one day get a shot to do something again, because I think I could do it a lot better. I think even when I listen to it now, I'm like, oh my goodness, I know that I can sing all those songs better, especially when I do shows, because I'm like, the fans will be like, oh, you sound so much better live than on the album. And I'm like,
don't you love that?
I'm like,
those compliments.
Right, I'm like, okay, I love it, and I'm so thankful, but then I'm like, oh, that sucks. But it is because I was really scared when I was recording it, and I was very unsure and insecure and all those things that we all deal with. And so now, though, when I look back, I'm really happy I did it, because it's a great starting point, and it's a great, like, memory.
Right.
And a lot of those songs, all of them mean something very special to me, and they were songs that helped me get over difficult times, or helped me, you know, move on to the next, or just those sorts of things. And so it means a lot to me. So I'm really happy, but I'm sad because I never got to promote it, because right before I booked Teen Wolf was when I was actually planning on doing like my album release party and doing a little music tour. So I literally have like 2,000 albums sitting in my closet at home, which I plan on one day. Like, literally my friends ask me all the time, they're like, so when are you gonna actually end up having your album release show or something?
Yeah. And
I hope I get a chance to. I'm actually planning on going to shoot a music video for one of the songs on the album called Better Off.
Okay.
It's actually one of my favorite songs on the album, and I never shot a video for it because I really wanted it to be special, but didn't have time. And so I hopefully will get to do that this summer. And then maybe I'll do a couple shows or something. It's
That
been a
sounds
while.
good. Yeah, that'll be, hey, you certainly have the fan base now to certainly have people want to come out and see you do something different than Kira.
I hope so.
What is one of the scariest things about working on Teen Wolf, or one of the most embarrassing things that has happened?
Scary, a lot of scary things happen. Our show is scary, and I am a total scaredy cat. Like, I'm one of those girls who cried during Sixth Sense. And some people are like, that's a scary movie? And I'm like, it was scary to me. So I get scared with just about everything. So just being on set scares me. And the boys scare me because they're always pulling pranks on me because they know how easy I am to scare. One of the hardest things, and probably the scariest things, is whenever we do stunts. As much as I love doing it, I do get scared because it's like, okay, don't make any mistakes. If you make mistakes, you might chop off somebody's head or you might hurt somebody. And so, you know, it's that finding that balance of really like selling the shots, because you wanna look like you're really swinging hard or hitting hard and being very in the moment, but you still want to do it like light just in case, because you're not really like, we're not really striking each other. And that's the thing. It's like finding that balance is scary because you don't know how much. Or like, you know, even Posey and I had a scene recently where we were doing something, and after every take I'd be like, I'm so sorry, are you okay? And he's like, no, it's totally fine. And I'm like, okay, I thought you were really in pain. But it's because he's a great actor, you know? But in the scene, like, you're like, oh my God. And like, in the back of my head, I'm thinking like, oh my God, I'm like killing him. Like, this probably like really, really hurts, or he's like really struggling. But then in the end, he's like laughing and he's like, oh no, it's really fine. And I'm like, okay, good, very good acting. Had me fooled.
And you get to sing in your next movie project, right? It's about a group of people on a subway?
Right, so Stuck, which we actually shot in New York, not too far from here. And that was all like musical, acting, dancing, singing, everything. We did very, very long shots, long takes with like pages of scenes. It was wonderful and so different. Very, very different feel from TV. Because TV and movie, I mean, a lot of it's just like the freedom and how much time we have for each scene, and you know, those sorts of things are so different. But it was a really good learning experience. I've never filmed, I think, pages and pages of dialogue like that before, let alone gone from acting scene to breaking out in song and then going back to acting, and like really finding the balance of that natural flow. And one of the things I love about Stuck is that the songs, it's not just like acting, song. It's really like acting leads to the song that carries a story into sort of the next scene. And so I love how they do that, and I mean, I can't wait to see how it turns out. Haven't seen anything. Like we were just joking earlier, we never get to see anything. I mean, the director's great. Michael showed me a bunch of like dailies, and he sent me some little clips and teasers, and it looks wonderful. And everybody involved was amazing. Like working with Giancarlo Esposito was such an honor. Like he's such a talented actor, and I respect his work so much. And actually, when we were filming in New York, one of the coolest things that happened is his daughters came into town, and we watched Teen Wolf from our hotel room. Like Giancarlo Esposito was watching Teen Wolf with me. And I was like,
surreal, right?
I was like, I'm kind of having like a fangirl moment here right now. And he was like intently watching the show, and he was like, this is good. And I was like, thank you so much. But no, that was really cool. So it was really great working with everybody involved, and just fun to see that sort of all the different worlds of art coming together.
And Teen Wolf has brought you this opportunity to come out for Creation Entertainments. What is it like to be at a fan convention like this and see all the faces that are, you know, that are supporting your career and watching Teen Wolf, and just being in the public eye like that? It's got to be phenomenal and just great feeling.
No, definitely. It's one of the most amazing things. It's like, I always have this feeling like when we're watching the episodes and people tweet me everything and like they're showing me so much love, I just want to like get in there and like hug every person. And then you get to do that here.
Right.
And the reason why too is like we work so hard for X amount of time, and you don't get to see it till such a later date, that, you know, when you're working over and over, I mean, it gets tough, and we have long hours and things get tough. And, you know, like every families like, you know, get tired, and, you know, people might get upset, and, you know, whatever, all that sort of stuff that happens. And then when it comes out, you're like, oh, it was worth it. It's amazing. We love it. And then it just adds a whole nother level when you see that all these other people love and respect it. And you're just like, I don't know, it's just like so gratifying and just blessing to know that people appreciate the hard work. Because so many artists in this world put blood, sweat, and tears into their work. And then, you know, maybe some people will see it, maybe not. And I think a lot of times, you know, it's such a great reminder to be like, wow, people really love this show, and people really love what we do. And I think for me, it's really encouraging, because when things do get tough and, you know, when you get discouraged, you need someone to be like, no, hey, I love it. I love what you do. I love your character. It's very encouraging. And it's like, yes, this is why we signed up for this, because people think that acting is so like all the glitz and glam, and you're like, no, it's not. I feel like that's such a small percentage of it. That's what people see, but you don't get to see like the other stuff.
Right.
You know, like people think being a doctor is all fancy, but you don't know that they went to like med school for 8 years and all the residency, not sleeping for 48 hours and operating. You know, it's like you only see one part of it.
Absolutely.
And so I feel like in every industry it's kind of like that. And with acting, I love that. You know, you get to meet the fans and you get to actually interact and talk with them and know that something as silly as a TV show can change somebody's life.
Right.
And I mean, isn't that what life is about?
Absolutely.
Being able to like, you know, affect people and just interact and sort of become family just because you have one thing in common. And so, I don't know, I love that.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for taking the time to sit down and do this. Best of luck on season 5, which I know is already in the can, but I'm sure everybody's anxious to see that, and your movie and your jewelry line, or your watch line, which we didn't get a chance to speak about, but congratulations on that. That's phenomenal.
Thank you for
You're
supporting.
wearing one of your watches?
Leonard and Church. Thank you so much. It's been, one of the hardest things I've ever done, but I'm really, really happy about it. So thank you for even knowing.
Yeah, you've got your hand in many pots. That's great.
Thank you, and I
Thank
can't
you
wait
so
for
much,
season
Arden.
5 either. Yay!